Tell me what got you into filmmaking and the communication and all this stuff.
You know, it was somewhat accidental. I began my life in the theater, in the live theater, so I guess it was still sort of in the communication space. And I was working abroad. I was actually working in Finland, of all places.
Finland?
Yeah, I've been. It's a very dramatic place.
I've never been there, I don't think. No, I've never been to Finland.
Yes, and you know, it's winter most of the year. They have, you know, these incredible summer nights where the sun is out all night long. In the winter, you know, it's dark all the time. And I was, you know, I just had this sort of, this kind of like a scratch, like an itch. Like I needed to sort of explore the world outside the stage, and I wasn't able to sort of get what I was looking for inside. So I picked up a camera and I started sort of documenting the world around me, and then I came back home and I realized I didn't know anything about what I was doing, so I went back to school.
What do you mean you didn't know anything about what you were doing?
Well, I just didn't have any sort of education in the
formal education.
Formal education in the area. So that's when I came back and I thought, well, San Francisco is the city itself is a great teacher, and it had a lot of programs. So I applied to a film school and I said, well, if they take me, I'll go, and they took me. And so then I finished my graduate education and got in, deeper into what I'm doing now.
How do you balance family and education and demands of what you do, your profession?
It's hard.
And that's a loaded question, okay? I'm going to tell you, it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Because I ask a lot of ladies to come in here the same identical question, and some of the answers I have gotten would just knock your socks off. So here's yours.
Okay. I'm not going to make any sort of, I'm not going to make it sound nicer than it necessarily is. It's really hard to have it all.
It's demanding, isn't it?
It's very demanding. It's very complicated. It's very emotionally challenging.
Yeah.
Because you want to serve your career, you want to serve your child, you want to serve your family.
You got, how many kids you got?
Just one.
One, okay.
One and done, barring supernatural forces in the air. But that's fine. That's still enough, And
yeah, that's more than enough today.
It is.
It's expensive, isn't it?
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love when I bring my son. He just turned 3, and I bring him to my office every once in a while. I love to go to Mommy's office. He makes me pictures to put up on the wall. And when I see him there, I realize, oh, this is so great. Like, he is identifying his mom as someone who has this office and gets to do all these really cool things. He's helped me on set a few times. He gets to, be on the stage and carry gear. And
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you preparing him for the inevitable? He might like it.
Look, okay, no football, no military, and no pilots. Other than that, I'm okay with it. Those are the limits that I'm going to impose.
No football, no military, no pilots.
That's it, yes. Other than that, he's free to do what he likes. Yeah. So, but it's still, it's tough. It's not an easy deal, but it's rewarding. When you can satisfy, all of those things, and you have to make choices and sacrifices, and kind of decide them as you go.
I was talking to one professional lady the other day, and she was telling me that child care is about $1,000 a month plus.
That's plus. Yeah.
Plus.
plus. Yeah.
Plus. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the times, sometimes, whatever times they have, that's what you have to abide to, wherever they are.
But it bites into your whole area of being, am I right?
It does. It's hard. It's not easy. But it's funny because I sort of got this really great job at the same time I found out that I was having a baby. And that, to me, was like a sign that I should do both. I thought, well, this is not about making a choice of doing one or the other. It's about both of these really amazing things happened at the same time. So I'm gonna, you know, roll with it and see what I can make happen. If it's important enough, I think, you know, if it's important enough, you find a way to do it.
I'm gonna throw one at you, another one, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me all the accolades that you have, and your educational level is what? I know it's probably up here. Ouch! Ouch! Dadgummit.
Well, you know, I hate to list things off.
Why not? You're an accomplished person.
Well,
And can I say something?
Yeah.
You're a very gorgeous woman. You have a lot of heart and a lot of spirit.
Well, thank you.
And you're outgoing, you know. And so that tells me that when you go into things, you go into things all the way. There is no in-between with you.
Probably that's true.
Did I hit it?
Probably, yes.
You knocked the horse off the horse's
I'm a bit kind of an all or nothing person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does that equate to filmmaking?
Well, I think it equates well.
I would say so.
Because, you know, I think as a filmmaker, you have to kind of be very paranoid. You have to be completely in the game. Especially documentary filmmaking, it's really not over till it's, you know, over. I was reading a quote by Peter Davis, who made Hearts and Minds, which is like a really controversial horror film in the 70s. And he said, all I do is worry. I just worry, worry, worry. After every shoot, I research as much as I can, I work as hard as I can, and then when it's done, I don't celebrate. I just worry some more until it's all over and actually being screened and released, and then maybe I could feel a little bit of, you know, peace.
You know, when I was in the Navy for 20 years, and I did 6 years and 2 months and 15 days in Hollywood, California as a recruiter. Okay, I learned something from filmmakers. They're never satisfied, day or night. They wake up at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with all these crazy ideas for the next day.
Yes.
You're not like that, are you?
I do occasionally wake up in the middle of the night. Not every night.
Accomplishments are very endearing, and they're very fulfilling in that industry.
They are, and it's nice to get them and get recognition. But you know, it's a very unglamorous job, to be honest. You know, when you get to the accolades and things, you know you get a little bit of an opportunity to enjoy all your hard work. But usually the road is very long and challenging and complicated and often lonely at times. So you have to be able to sort of bear that, I think, before you know you get to the end. You know, they say, because like I said, I started in the theater, and so in the theater, you know, you get your performance and you run your show, and that was like your performance time, right? In film, when you screen your film, it's done. So really the performance part of it comes in the kind of making of the film, and that's really the very intense, charged period of time where you have to sort of perform creatively at your best to get the result that you're looking for. So it's kind of a different way of looking at, you know, that idea of performance. Because when it's done, it's almost, you know, sometimes I can't really watch a film that I've made
Really?
Sometimes it's hard, yeah.
In what respect?
Just because it's
perfection
and a bit like it's over, you know, like there's
Eyez has been in that industry somewhat.
Yeah.
How are we getting to the mic? I also have a question. Because I know a lot of people who aren't in show business, they don't quite get it when people say it's not as glamorous as you would think. Can you go into depth a little bit more about what's, let's just say, so unglamorous about being a filmmaker?
Okay. I'm really plugging filmmaking here. Terrible, unglamorous job. No, it's so incredibly satisfying, especially when you work on things that are meaningful to you. Because
documentaries are hard.
Yeah, they're hard.
Very hard.
Yeah, you don't know necessarily where they're going to end up. If you're following something that's happening in the moment, you don't know when it's going to end or when you should begin it or end it. You know, there's all these challenges of story and post-production. There's you know, licensing. Generally speaking, documentary filmmakers are working with very limited funds, so you're always scraping things together, and it's a bit of a marathon. You really have to...
Money is always an issue.
Always an issue. In some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. You know, because you get used to not having so much of it, so you become very resourceful.
Oh, back to the mom's basement.
Exactly.
For this scene.
And you know, so you know, having my son carry a couple loads of gear maybe saves me a crew member. No, I'm just kidding. But you also meet like the greatest people, because generally you're working with people who are super committed to the issue or the craft, and they have some other purpose for being there than just to like get a credit on that film or something. So
Dedication is paramount.
dedication is paramount. Yeah, because it sees you through the challenging
Intensity.
times of it. Yeah.
I was watching them do a movie, McHale's Navy. Okay, and going on the set, you know, and the set was the PT boat, you know, next to the pier, you know, and just the veracity that everybody had to, you know, put into place was so intense, you know, for maybe a 7 or 8 minute shoot, and it was like, God, I'm glad that's over with. You know.
Yeah, so you experience some of the greatest relief
Right.
once you accomplish something Herculean. There's you know, there's nothing that feels kind of better than that. But it is a very challenging thing. You think you can just turn on a camera and that's all you need to do, but it's far more complicated and complex than that. And it really is a collaborative art. You know, so you really need a group of people, small or large, to all be working towards a common goal, which perhaps, I mean, being in the military, you may have really sort of experienced things like that. You know, it is a bit, you know, like being in the trenches. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably not necessarily as dangerous.
Well, I was amazed. I was amazed that people go 4 and 5 hours for a 20-minute shoot.
Uh-huh.
You know, and they were up at 4:30. Everybody had to go through makeup. Everybody had to go through, you know, costume and the whole thing. And the set people went out there and make sure everything was in the same place. They'd mark these little black X's on the floor, you know, that you can't see, or they put little pieces of tape on the floor. You know, this has to be right here. It has to be at this angle.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sitting here. That'll never work in my movie.
Do you have any horror stories from a film?
Sure. But I don't know if I really want to out anybody on that. Things happen. You know, crazy stuff happens. I've seen an actor fall off a horse, for example.
Really?
You know, people get. I myself, actually, one time I got poison ivy, poison oak.
Wow.
And I'm very allergic to it. So I was sitting there on set one day and I started looking down and scratching, and I realized, oh, hell. I'm going to be in really big trouble here in about like 5 hours. So I had to like race back, and we were in, I don't know, some kind of rural farm or area, and you know, I had to find a shower and some Technu, and you know,
Hopefully oatmeal. Did oatmeal help?
yeah, I used some, like, it's called Technu.
Oh,
Which if
okay.
you're ever in a, you know, not sort of a rural area that has keep it on you, it's very helpful.
Oh, really?
So, you know, crazy stuff, it always happens when you're getting ready to shoot.
I gotta ask you something.
That's when it happens.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna throw one at you, okay? What was your reaction when the guy fell off the horse?
It was a woman, actually, and I booked it. I think I was like, I yelled, "She's off!" And I started running to help her, but she was far away.
Oh, really? And you ran the whole distance?
I did. I did. Yeah, she was okay. So everything was fine. So I can tell that story.
That was emotionally traumatic. It wasn't them big words, huh?
Yeah, another big word.
That's right. It was traumatic. And then there's always things that happen that you just never tell anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you today, but I've seen them. And those secrets will be with me.
Well, you know, I saw when there was I was at the WC Field studio, which was Metro Meyer something, you know. Goldwyn Mayer.
MGM.
And MGM. And I was sitting there, and this one lady was going through this one scene, and she just lost it and got mad, started yelling and screaming at everybody. And I'm going, okay, you know, and I had been drinking that day, you know. So I had about, you know, they have everything on the set there. I had about 3 shots of Jack Daniels, So
that's
I just,
huh? I said that's not
and
much.
3 double shots. And I sit there, and when she went off on everybody, it shut everything down, And there's some actresses and actors that are very synonymous of that. Temper tantrums. So in your industry, you run into every damn thing coming at you, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the gamut. You run the gamut.
Oops, I just said something. Yeah.
You just.
When that happens, what do? How do you regroup? You, the person.
Oh well, you have your own stash of Jack Daniels or whatever you need to help, and I think you have to kind of roll with it on a certain level. Some people have different approaches to that kind of thing, but I think you can take care of yourself, and you can try to help move things along as best you can.
But emotions are very high, aren't they?
It's very tense.
Right.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes things just go, like spring, and it's beautiful and wonderful and fantastic, and those are the moments you hope for in between the tense ones, and so it goes both ways. As bad as it gets, that's as good as it gets too. So.
2 of the coolest people I ever met was Roger Moore, 007, and James Garner, Maverick. And when something would go wrong, he would just say, he'd hold his hands up and tell everybody, stop, don't move, don't think, don't even let anything get in your mind. Let's go eat and talk for about 15 minutes and we'll be back at it. And then that control and that emotion was just, a good thing. Now I've seen people, like, I will not mention their names, very famous actresses who they didn't have the dress didn't fit right, so they got mad and ripped the dress off. She walking off the set in her underwear.
Poor costumer.
Yeah. And the lady that did the costume, she was just, oh my God, what's a $5,000 dress,
Yeah, exactly.
But people like that in that industry.
But I think that advice, is really sound in terms of and this is one of my philosophies when I work on a film, even though it's not necessarily always the most practical thing to do, and that is take your time. Because if things get heated, if they get out of hand, 15 to 20 minutes for everybody to just regroup or vent or do whatever they need to do, just walk away and then come back, does an amazing amount of work for you. But generally speaking, you're on a tight schedule because you don't have very much money.
Right.
And that's really what kind of intensifies the drama when it happens. Otherwise, you can deal with all those things, right? What's a ripped dress? What's a thing out of place? It just takes time to sort of fix them, right? And reorient them.
Well, the two of you are in that industry, and I wonder sometimes, from looking at a little bit I've seen of it, another person that I really, Shirley MacLaine, she is a super sweetie. When things went wrong, I saw her just stop and just start hugging people. Okay, we can do this. Okay, we can do this. But
you should have some humanity when you make films. I think. Especially people like us who make independent films. It's like if you don't have some humanity in the way you make it, why are you bothering to make a film about humanity? So there does need to be some humanity in the process, and I think that's something I always try to remember when things get tense. Is that, okay, let's take the hat of ambition off and let's just be human and be cool, and generally speaking, if we give some time to that, then things can kind of work out for themselves.
You got a question for her?
No, I know what she was saying. I had a flashback because I did a film, and it's like, well, first of all, the producers, they didn't speak English. So, like, you show up and it's like, that this is where they're filming. You can tell, but you still need to, like, check in, like, put my name, need my signature, contract or anything. It's like, okay, they were so, like, just rude. But the good thing is, I got paid. They followed all my they was like, what kind of foods can you eat? I said, rice. I have to eat rice. Like, but they had, like, pounds and pounds of chocolate. sausages. And since they were Chinese,
food is important.
yeah, since they were Chinese, they had all sorts of rice. And these Chinese vegetables, it was like some magic type of mushroom that was really, really long and flat and wavy. So the food was good. I got paid. The movie was never released. So, I mean, at least I got paid. See, that's why it's important to pay your actors, people. Like, even if it's $20, that's why. Because, you know, actors, they waste their time, you know. They don't. All right, I'm talking about something completely different now. I do have a question for you, though. Have you had any premieres or submitted to, like, any festivals or anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Our most latest film, which is what you were talking about earlier, because I think Trevor was a guest here at some point, right? So the Abina film.
Now, you're talking about a sweet individual.
Yes. I adored
He is
Trevor
one
Getz.
adorable, hell of adorable person. And just as smooth as ice.
He is. And extraordinarily accomplished as
And
well.
extraordinary
speaking of
accomplished.
accolades.
And quiet about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And he's great to work with, too.
Is
Wonderful
he?
collaborator. Yes. That's the only
I
reason the
would
film
think
turned out
that.
the way it did. Because if it hadn't, if he wasn't a collaborative and spirited person the way he is, it really couldn't have come to life the way that it did. So, you know, we premiered that at the San Francisco Black Film Festival. So we got a hometown premiere, which was awesome. Won the animation prize, which was very, very special. And then I'm going to be going to Montreal this Friday to show it as a gala film at the Montreal International Animation Film Festival. And we'll be traveling to London in September. And the film will be showing in Zimbabwe as well.
Really?
At the beginning of next month, I think. So it's really making its way around, which is super exciting.
You don't need a singer, do you?
Do I?
I can sing for you.
Sure.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, sing some opera
Oh,
right now.
no.
Opera?
Sing it
I love
right
opera.
now.
No. I don't want to impress you.
I might never leave.
I think you'll leave quite quick. So you guys are going to get around the world then in the next 3 months, huh?
It's been a great people have been responding well to the material, so it looks like it's we're traveling. We're going to get on every continent. That's now our goal. And we have another film called Kunmoto, which is about the Alexander String Quartet, so it's about chamber music. And that's going to be airing on KQED this Friday at 8 p.m. as part of the True California series. I went to a couple festivals.
Wait a minute, let's back up here. Let's plant and regroup.
Okay.
It's going to be on KQED this Friday.
Yes. It's not the Abina film. It's another film we made called Kunmoto, which is about chamber music and the Alexander String Quartet.
Very famous.
Yeah, they are world famous musicians.
We'll run out, yeah.
So it's kind of a part road movie, part buddy film. You sort of see a little bit about how they work and how things go when they're on the road performing, and it's a really it's a very energetic piece. So check that out. And then I have another film I'm inches away from finishing. Called Nail House, and that's about the old Haight-Ashbury Community Recycling Center that was forcibly evicted in 2013.
You know what? That had been there a long time.
Yep.
I can't remember, but I remember the Haight-Ashbury from 1960. I'm folding pages in the mind, okay? I like to say that. I remember the Haight-Ashbury in 1962, 63, 64. Was thriving.
Yep.
Lots of money, a lot of people, lots of ambience, and a lot of stuff going on. And here we are talking about something that I remember back from that day. So.
Right, really a tradition of environmentalism and community that came out of that whole sort of Summer of Love.
Cohesion we had then, but we don't have today.
Right.
That's weird.
It's problematic.
Yes, it is.
It is, and I just heard on the news they're going to be redoing the Harvey Milk Library. They're redesigning the exterior of it to deter homeless people from like loitering there. And I just thought Harvey Milk would be turning in his grave if he knew that that's what they were doing with the library named after him. Because that is the last thing that he would ever have fought for in this city. And, you know, we really have a homeless problem here in San Francisco, and it needs to be addressed in a civilized way. I don't have the answer, but I know what's not the answer. So
that's the question that whoever solves that question is gone.
Thoughts of Economy with Charles Achille Williams on Radio Valencia, the sounds of the mission.
And we're back with Miss Behrens here, and we're talking about conditions of the mind and things that happen. And one of the things that I was talking about, we were talking about, is the fact that I saw when I was in India, I saw a 90-pound lady, she must have been in her 70s, carrying 150 pounds of water. And we're talking about what we have to do. And when you see things like this in life, and you go back and you look and you say, well, it goes back to one thing in my equation. We're a spoiled society in this country. We don't do things out of necessity or need. We do things out of desire. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think it depends, of course, you know, on who we are and where we're at, but we're incredibly privileged. I mean, even to be able to make films and on a low budget is, you know, definitely a place of privilege. It's not, you know, I'm not at the bottom of the food chain by any means, and you know, it is. You know, desire is a complicated topic.
Desire.
Yeah.
You know what desire to me is? You want me to throw a real ringer at you?
Go for it.
Desire is actually something in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit that says, I can either go this far or this far. And the distance between the two is insurmountable sometimes to some people, because most people in this country they'll say I can't before they can say I can't. That's what's wrong with our whole damn society.
It is, and that's
Seriously.
why these stories like Abina are so important, because, you know, you look at a young girl in the late 1800s who very easily and clearly could have said to herself, there's no way out of this situation, I will never, you know, be able to free myself or hold anybody accountable for it, but that desire for
the word
freedom,
desire is huge, isn't it?
it was what drove her to accomplish what she did. And though she didn't win her court case, she took a tiny little step forward.
She challenged the system.
She did.
I remember Trevor talking about that.
Yeah. And
That was the biggest thing, the British system, which was hard,
Yes.
very hard.
Because it was very political, and, you know,
Right.
they had all these great ideals, but they weren't necessarily living up to them. They were far more interested in sort of rearranging the concept of slavery than actually abolishing it.
Right.
And that's really what Abina challenges in her case.
That word challenge is big in our society too. You know what? I was in Quezon, 1966, and there was something, and I'm going to throw it, I want your opinion of it, okay?
Okay.
There was something, an inscription on this Buddhist temple. It said there, and it was in English. And it said, there are those of us who live to challenge life, and then there are those of us who live to let life challenge us. It says, lo, that I am a challenger, my days may be short. Oh, they're so sweet. And then it says Salah, which Salah is Amen, in any language. Am I right?
I think so.
Yeah. So what do you think of that?
Yeah,
How do you equate that to what you're doing to our society and where you're existing right now and the things that you're doing?
I don't know. You know, like we talked about earlier, I'm kind of an all or nothing person. So if I don't have that, if I don't have that challenge and that desire and that sort of all-in feeling about doing something and accomplishing something, I won't be there. You won't find me around. You know, I'll probably just be in a corner crying and depressed somewhere. It's invigorating to meet the challenges of life and to not accept just what's handed to you. And try to, if you do have some level of privilege, to make something of that and try to make this world, you know, a better place for everybody, for others, for the next generation, just for your own ability to sleep at night.
But do you realize if 10 million people had that idea to make the world a better place, there'd be 10 million more people that we would have that would move us further in the human theater.
Well, hopefully this stuff that's going on in our country, in Charlottesville, will ignite those fires under people's little behinds.
But your book, your film and Trevor's book is desire and its accomplishment. Those are the two things in there that I see humanly that are the actual elements of success. Am I right?
Sure. Well, actually, you know, Abina didn't win, so I don't know if accomplishment is...
But you got it there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like taking steps.
If a lot of people would just get there,
yeah,
and open their eyes, what do you think would happen to our society?
Yeah, well, I think it would improve, and I think it's sort of a desperate call right now for people to do that. You know, also, you know, to recognize in themselves. We talk about a state of mind, right? You have to recognize that you actually have power and potential to affect change, and I think most people sometimes feel, you know, disillusioned or disengaged that their individual actions don't surmount or amount to much. But Abina sure thought that her individual actions could really accomplish something.
If that kind of spirit was in our society today, we have a hell of a good society.
That's right.
You know, but a lot of people give up.
I think people give up. Yeah, and I think it's hard. I don't want to be critical of people who give up. I'd rather just you know, try to find ways like these films and these stories to talk about it and sway them, you know, to feel something inside themselves. And that's why films are so powerful, is because they move you emotionally. And they can actually get you to sort of challenge your belief systems and challenge your own personal actions and perhaps do something different than you've been doing all along.
So when you saw Abina in presentation, what did you think?
What you mean, screened?
Yeah.
I felt just really honored to be able to tell her story.
Yeah.
And I just hope that, you know, her spirit, like that she somehow knows that, wow, this thing that you did has lasted these hundreds of years and is now being retold across the world.
This is 18?
Yeah, it's like the 1880s.
Yeah, 87 I think it was, Trevor was saying, in the 80s.
So what? That's pretty damn cool.
That's damn cool.
And I hope she knows that wherever she is. And I just feel kind of like humbled.
Speak to the spirits. I see no preachers do that. Collard greens and cornbread. You know. Anyway.
You just have to channel her, and that's, you know, the woman who played Abina. She was a sophomore in college. She was an art student, not a non-professional actor. She just had that like spirit and drive of the character, and so she got this opportunity.
How did you find somebody like that?
She was my student. I just found her, and we were, you know, went through a lot of conversations about how we cast the film, and, you know, I really felt like if we used the community around us, that they would have more of a stake in what was going on. And I was just not concerned about people being actors or professional or non-professional. I just wanted them to be invested in the story. So they had an opportunity to kind of like walk through the shoes of the people who came before them and participated in this. And
you know, that's a powerful comment you just made there. You know, I'm going to say something, I'm not trying to be negative. A lot of people emulate people of the past, but they never walk in their shoes.
Exactly.
That is what gets me about all the stuff that I see today. The hair, the regalia, you know, the attitude, but they never put anything of substance into the situation, and they do not walk in these people's shoes. I remember 1962, 61, I was in Upper Grandview, New York. And this lady picked me up, and she was a consummate reader. She had books. We went to her house to eat, you know, and she had a like little path down her kitchen where she had books. And she had all this knowledge about things, you know. And she was talking about humanity. I learned a lot that day. And fast forward to today and watching you and Abina and watching Trevor and watching you guys produce this and actually put it on the screen. is insurmountable in most people's imagination because you kicked ass. Oh, not I need to stop saying that. You went out and did what you were supposed to do.
They say people who swear have a higher level of intelligence, so.
Wow, so all
Maybe
these kids are intelligent.
Yeah, all these
Seriously,
kids are intelligent.
you accomplished, you set out there and set an accomplishment, and you blew me away saying this lady had no theatrical experience.
Yeah, no, and she was phenomenal. She's phenomenal in the film. She's a natural. She, this is how we build empathy, right? Is
right.
by trying to walk in somebody else's shoes, understand what they experience as they would have experienced it, not as you looking in on that. So that's what I thought would be kind of most,
So how old is she?
I don't know, but I mean, she was like a freshman, sophomore when she was in my class, so she must be somewhere between 18 and 22, right? College student.
Formative years.
Yeah.
That's what I call formative years.
Yeah,
18
absolutely.
to 22.
They're very formative.
Solidifying years in life.
Yeah.
And she did this film.
She did it, yeah. I went to her and I said, I didn't even audition her. I said, look, I just think you're right for this. I don't know why. There's just something about, I've got to know her in the class, and I just thought she had a lot of the spirit and qualities that, Abina had. And I asked her if she was interested, and she, read the book, and I think she felt really excited about trying to, accomplish this. And so we did it together. And
what was the period of time that you worked on this?
We worked on this for about, I guess, a year and a half.
Really?
Which is super fast for an animated.
Yeah, it is.
It was nose to the grindstone. We had
So
no
who did the animation
we had no thought of festivals or we were
Yeah.
just doing it to do it, to really accomplish it, and then the stuff came later. The animation was done by there was a team of people who worked on it, but the lead animator was is an MFA student at San Francisco State University, and we took the TIFFs, which were from the graphic novel, right? Because they had no intentions of making it a film, so they didn't have vector files, or they weren't like planning this. This was something that evolved, right?
This is intense.
It was very intense. That's why now it's really cool that people are responding to it and picking it up. It certainly wasn't in our minds when we were working, because we were just so consumed with the work itself. That it's really special now that it's being seen so widely and discussed, and bringing up these really important topics for consideration, and it's just a very special project.
You got some questions on your mind. I can see
I'm just
it in your brain. I
visualizing the animation right now. So.
Right, and animation as a tool of telling true stories is also a really fascinating space. We live in this spectacle-filled society. It's really hard to look at reality and understand what's true or not true about it. So, utilizing the animated form in some ways gives us a certain distance that, gets us a little closer to the truth.
Who are some of the other characters in the film?
Abina, of course, is the woman who brings her case. Her lawyer, James Davis, he was actually a ethnic studies student. He won the Hood. He graduated last year. And then the opposing lawyer, Kirk Cunningham, he was a theater major. Then we had her master, Kwamna Adu, that was Ronnie Washington. He was a former chair of the theater department at SFSU. We had the magistrate, he was like the judge. That was Michael Behrens, and we had a slew of other characters that came from all over the university. I just attended events. I went to classes to talk about the project. I just sort of tried to get out there and find people who were moved by the story. And if they were, I said, okay, why don't you come in and think about taking a part and being involved in this. And that was sort of the grassroots effort to make this more of a community project. and give an opportunity to discuss and be critical about what it was and what it was talking about, and what the issues were, what the complications were.
Tell me what the pro issues were.
Well, we have, of course, slavery is a major issue that comes out in the film. There's also this concept of like personal biography, right, and narrating your own story and having some kind of control over that. There's also colonialism and the Enlightenment. And
that word colonialism is big. It's not used too much today.
No, well, we live in...
You don't hear it very much today, do you?
You don't, but it's not like it's gone.
I know.
And the British were colonizing Western Africa, so they weren't exactly the heroes of the situation. So it's complicated, right? Even though they were saying, oh, slavery is abolished, that was a very double-edged ideal.
In 2003, 4, no, 5, I was in Tangiers, and the flare, that whole thing is still there. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. Look at India.
See that whole thing is still there. Look at India.
Look at our country.
Yeah. The British just walked in there and says, okay, boom, this is it for forever and a day.
They didn't allow Indian people to make their own salt. That's what the British did. That's, that was how oppressive they were. Right. So they're not exactly the harbingers of the most sophisticated way we can live our lives.
Right.
So they're at fault too.
You're listening to Thoughts of a Common Man with Charles the Chief Williams on Radio Valencia, the sounds of the North.
And we're back again, right here with Soumyaa Behrens. And you know what? We're talking a whole lot of stuff offline here, and we're talking ideas and idealism and ideologies. Our whole society right now is kind of cranked out of it. We're looking at a lot of things. There was some things that were said we don't repeat, but at the same time, we're all here in this country together, and we're all here. We're the same people, And one thing I learned traveling the world is your intelligence, it predates, who you are and what you are. No matter what color you are, it's your brain power. One thing that scares the hell out of me, you see 2- and 3-year-old kids now acclimating to the higher learning of math right now. And I'm almost 75. For me to see that, and I'm going and seeing this little kid, and the one thing that I saw the other day, that this young black girl, she was playing one of the Beethoven's or one of those symphonies on a cello, and she played the whole symphony. Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't see that.
It's on Facebook.
Oh.
And I mean, without a mistake, this child is so brilliant. And wherever you go in the world, racism seems to inject itself in like old dye in a brain, like injecting some kind of animal something into the brain, and it just tears your thinking, it blinds your thinking, But there's so many brilliant people in the world. Look at this guy, he's an artist down in New Orleans, and they got another one in Chicago, and another one in New York, and they're breaking out. One of the most beautiful stories I've seen is the guy who's on multimedia TV right now, and this law firm found him on the street, homeless and begging. And the guy's got this smooth voice that swoons the women, and it's relaxing, and this voice, when you close your eyes and listen to this guy's voice, it assures you that everything is okay. So this guy is making $180,000, $190,000 a year now, $200,000, and 2 years ago he was homeless. And what I'm saying is hope. We have forgotten to hope. Am I right?
Yeah. Hope is a very
in your
important
industry,
element.
hope is a big thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in life, I think hope is a big thing.
Hope is a humongous thing.
Yeah. It's very closely linked to desire, I think.
Desire and hope. There's another one equation in there. There's desire, there's hope, and then there is, you know, actually accomplishing something of the three. Action, putting the three together.
Yeah.
So you feel pretty good about what you do, don't you?
I love what I do. Yes, I do. I feel
You're
so
blessed.
lucky to be able to do it. Yes, I am blessed.
Yeah, because you know what? Very few people can get into where you are in life.
It's hard.
Psychologically.
Yeah.
I always like to put that word in there. You know.
And I mean, I always say this too, and because I really am very happy with what I do, and I'm very happy just to be blessed with a beautiful child and a wonderful family, to live in the Bay Area and be educated by this
I'm
social
gonna cut you off for a minute. I'm gonna ask
Okay.
you. I'm gonna throw one at you, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Living in the Bay Area with this cross culture of people, how did you get this film to come to being like it is? I mean, this is a microcosm of a million different, you know, societies that we have in it. But yet you crossed all that. So how did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was, in some ways, it was just sort of serendipitous. Like, it just all came together. You know, it was the right people at the right time, with the right hopes and desires, that were able to connect and listen to one another and collaborate and communicate. And I think it was really just a lot of different factors, right, that came together. There's a little bit of chemistry and magic involved that you don't control. But this is definitely the place to do it.
There is a chemistry here.
There is a chemistry here, and there is
It's
an
different.
open dialogue. Yeah,
Right.
It's totally different. You can just, you know, I've lived in a lot of places, not as many places as you, but I have lived in a lot of places. And San Francisco, the Bay Area, is the only place I've ever lived where I just feel like I can just be me. Good me, bad me, just whatever. Like, nobody, you know, people just accept you for the most part here, and that's good. It's really interesting to sort of lift that burden of just being yourself.
Can I throw something at you? Comes from a personal observation.
Of course.
You look rich.
Okay.
You look like you're a very rich woman.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's your yearly
I just have to
income?
say that. I'm not stepping out about. You do. You have this. You know, I've been around so many people in my lifetime, up the tier, all the way from the bottom of the barrel, hitchhiking and eating behind stores and stuff like that. You know, where I learned a lot from those people, but I've lived to live the best, you know, in the upscale, you know, neighborhoods and stuff like this, you know. And you seem to fit. Here we go back with this fit thing again. You're very comfortable. You have this aura. Can I say that? That you are a very content person, not actually rich in money, but rich in character, rich in all the things that you're rich in life. You look like you got a lot of money too. You do. You carry yourself very, very well. And you know what? That's one of the things of our society that people can't do. It's a hard thing. People don't fit where they want to fit or they can fit because of what you seem to fit wherever you go. I get the feeling.
I don't know.
What
if
is
that's
that?
true. I don't know. I mean, I took a
told
lot
you
of
I was gonna load
risks
you up
as
with
a young
questions.
person.
Didn't I tell you I was going to throw some at you?
You did, yeah. And I mean, you know, when I first moved to California, I lived in an RV in Orange County. I've seen the sort of the gamut as well in terms of like finding my way with what I do, and where I've arrived. I'm really pleased with where I've arrived at, but it certainly was a zigzagged journey where I didn't really know where it would end up. So, yeah, I mean, I just I don't know what to say about that.
I'm gonna say something.
That, you know, it's important. None of the other stuff really matters. Like, you know, it's all really an illusion. Accolades, this, that, and the other. I mean, you know, that's great and it's really satisfying. But it's the work that really, you know, makes you happy and being able to be yourself.
I have something to put behind that. Okay, I'm gonna load it up. I'm loading you up today. Follow your desires and wherever you end up. Am I right?
Yes.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yes. I mean, that's the whole point of the American dream.
Life itself. Follow your desires no matter what.
No matter what.
See, that is what I'm getting at. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think
You followed your dream.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. It wasn't easy always, but it was worth it. I certainly I'm glad I didn't give up.
So we go back to one word we used before, this desire. But there has to be a lot of hard work and tenacious, endeavorance in there. Am I right?
Absolutely.
That's what we're getting back to. This is what
I think desire is a very active word.
Right.
Right.
And this is what this whole program is about. Thoughts of a common name, like I read it once. Showing people that whatever the hell you desire, if you got the guts to go out there and do it, so to speak, you can accomplish. You're a prime example. You know what I'm looking at in you, and looking at a lot of people in the world of different cultures and religions, and isms and jisms and whatever. That word desire, that word success, those are the two that are the culmination of the whole thing in humanity. Am I right?
Maybe. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If you desire something, go after it.
You go after it. Yeah.
And when you accomplish that, I stepped into I tell you, I had been doing my thing, and I stepped into the Royal Hilton in Hong Kong, and this palatial gold thing. You know what I said? Baby, I'm here.
I belong here.
I belong here. Came out of Vietnam, we were sitting there, me and my 3 friends. We said, we're going to stay in the Hilton in Hong Kong. All this gold and this palatial stuff, but we're here.
Yeah, Hong Kong is really something.
Hong Kong. Yeah, well,
that will overwhelm you, challenge your desire, I think.
But the serious part about it is, when you accomplish something like that, it feels good. An accomplishment is one of the things that we look for as a human being. Am I right?
It is.
And this is what I'm saying to everybody.
We do.
When you accomplish your dreams, this is what this whole the day is about.
Yeah.
You've accomplished your dream.
I'm getting there. Yes. Yeah.
You're doing pretty damn well, as far as I'm concerned.
You're very kind.
No, seriously.
You're very kind.
Really?
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, but you're a woman, and women today are still under fire.
They are.
Hell
Absolutely.
yes. That damn glass ceiling is still there.
Yep.
And it's thicker and thicker. Even though some women have penetrated through it, that damn thing gets thicker and thicker and thicker. The male bastion right now, men aren't men today. They're not.
What are they?
Huh? They're wimps. Not all
men are wimps.
Oh, there's some good guys.
No, there are.
I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying in general. Do you know that 65%, I did a survey, and I went online, I went everywhere, looking at the number of people in colleges today. 65% of the people in colleges are women today.
Amazing. That's
okay? 38% of those women are minorities.
Amazing. Well, this is what all these people here are afraid of right now. Women are going to kick our ass. They know all our secrets.
They think they do. But seriously speaking, and I was looking at what Howard University, St. Francis Xavier, all the HBCUs, they're pouring out minority women now.
Yeah. That's fantastic. They should be.
But where the hell are the men?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
I threw that one at you too. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I really, it's again a collaborative effort. We can't really succeed as women without men as our champions and on our sides as well. And,
sure.
And men know that very well, because historically men have succeeded because of the support of women.
Well, you know what they say: for every great man, there's a greater woman. I say greater. My mom, she lived to be 32.
What?
She lived to be 32.
I'm sorry.
I was 11, turning 12 when she passed. And I said to myself, she used to say every day, every single day, I was trouble, baby. I used to fight, I broke windows, I threw a softball at the train a couple of times trying to knock the window out. And one day, I decided to throw a rock at the train. The train stopped. Scared the living hell out of me, so we all started running. So the people in the train were walking the track looking, you know, and they're looking and see who these little colored boys are throwing rocks. We were in the bushes. And I told my mother about it. She said, I'm not going to whip you. But that fear at that time, that you knew you had done wrong, I want you to remember that for the rest of your life.
Wise woman.
Very wise woman. You know, and women today are in that whole theater of life. The problem is, part of the men generation is not there in great numbers anymore. Like the ethics, the respect, the dignity, and the care. You know, we somewhere in life we've lost that, and women are moving, and women are getting ahead of us as men. You know, that is my point in this whole thing. And women are more successful. We're going to have to be to the point where we accept that.
Yes, I mean, yes.
And this is the part of this problem with all the stuff that's went on. Men, you know, a lot of white men can't accept women, not even their own women, being successful. So these jackasses are out there yelling and screaming and holding flags and everything, and their women are being educated. They're going into business. The minority of women in business is growing by leaps and bounds.
Well, I think women have really figured out that, you know, if you sort of keep your head down and you focus on your goal and you really accomplish something, that is a very powerful thing. You know, and while there's a lot of ranting and raving going on, perhaps on the surface of certain societies and cultures, I think you'll find, like you said, you know, those women behind are getting to work.
It's cross-culture. It's cross-culture.
Of course.
You know, and it's just women in general. I met somebody the other day. I was at City Hall, San Francisco, and I was sitting on the steps, and people were passing by, and I was bothering people. I do that sometimes.
You?
Oh yeah. I give them my cards. You know, I give them my cards. Radio Valencia. I'll take my noon hour. I go across the street in the park because I can't do it because I work there. So I take my time, my lunch hour, and I'll go give away maybe 100 cards or 100 flyers. You know, doing you know, tourist people. You know, and I'm getting all this stuff from Radio Valencia, from people all over the world now.
Okay.
You know. And I met this one woman. She was from Japan. You know, I said, "Kaga desu ka?" She jumped and she says, "Hello." And I says, "Well, ohayou gozaimasu. Genki desu ka ne?" She said, "Well, I don't speak it."
Yeah.
I said, "But you're with Japanese tourists." She said, "But I'm educated from Harvard." I said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Where'd you learn that at? U.S. Navy, huh?" I said, U.S. Navy. So we're looking at women throughout the world moving and shaking.
That's of the common man with Charles the Chief Williams on Radio Valencia, the sounds of the mission.
We are having this conversation right now about life and things, and we have switched chairs. So now we get to see the face of one and the back of the head of the other.
Yeah. How's it looking, everybody?
Good hair.
Good hair. Sexy eyes. You are a sex pot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm not supposed to say that on there, but you are gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful woman, you know.
And you're
lots of spirit. And you know, Eyez is like nobody that I know. We were on, what's that, in Berkeley that time, where it was cold as hell.
Oh, yeah.
And you stopped, the whole street stopped. We were in Berkeley on Shattuck, wasn't it? Telegraph. And Eyez was singing, and the whole street stopped. People were standing in the street to hear her sing, you know. And I'm going, why can't I sing like that?
Oh, you did. You sang a couple notes.
Oh yeah, but you know, I was amazed, and I love you very much. I love you very much because you're what they call a hard charger.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
hard charger. And you've been in movies and plays and all this stuff, you know. stuff that I'm gonna flex my muscle. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get me some hydroxy cut.
Okay.
15 minutes a day for 6 months. I'm gonna be muscle bound.
Okay. I wouldn't recommend taking any pills you see on TV, but we can go for walks together. How about that?
That's all right.
Go for some walks.
You know, and maybe I'll learn to sing opera somewhere in the end.
Yeah, my auntie, she's a voice teacher. You should talk to her.
Well, you know what? We're getting back to Miss Behrens here and her career.
Yeah.
Where are you going? What's your next stint right now?
It's this film Nail House that I'm finishing. That's going to be my next project that comes out, which is about the political battle over this recycling center in the Haight-Ashbury and the blaming of the homeless community by the gentrifiers of our city. So that's going to be the next project that comes out. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be able to announce some screenings soon.
Let's back up a minute. Gentrification is worldwide right now. People realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we're hoping this film can actually travel to a lot of, especially urban areas that are experiencing, these highly saturated spaces that are organized to have people act in certain ways, and address this issue of people not wanting to have the visibility of the poor and the homeless within their communities.
Well, I talk to people all over the world. I have friends just about everywhere, Saudi Arabia, North Africa, Senegal, South Africa, all the places that, that people don't normally talk about or go. And it's happening everywhere you go.
It is. It is.
Nairobi, of all places. The rich are pushing the poor out there, too. Mm-hmm. Nairobi.
It's unbelievable.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's very frightening that, because it's so superficial in a way, like that you just don't even want to see somebody walk down your street who's poor. I mean, that is pretty messed up, right? That's pretty messed up.
Sure.
You don't even want to see them. You don't even want to look at them.
Worse in Berkeley as well. We were filming with another television station, and it was so weird. I noticed with all of the minority candidates, they came and they just answered questions, and some of them took notes. But on the second day, there were certain politicians who've been here that they don't expect to lose their job. They came with scripts, and they had staged questions. And this woman said, and she got reelected. She said, "Oh, well, I'm trying to make it against the law for people to sleep out in public. I've seen other cities do it. We definitely here in Berkeley need to be the next to do it because we don't want to look at that." And I'm like, what is wrong? And these people are clapping for everything she says, but that's because people don't understand politics. Sometimes you pay for your vote. You pay for these questions. Everything was staged, and it was so ridiculous, especially for a place like Berkeley,
Yeah, I mean, it seems like counterintuitive to everything supposedly Berkeley stands for.
Exactly.
Right? And having the diversity of not just people, ethnicities, races, but also classes and a diversity of economics and microeconomies, that's what makes us civilized and sophisticated as Bay Area people.
Class is a big thing
now. It's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
People are assuming that they're elevating themselves in class psychologically. Did I put that out there right? But yet and still, they're worse than the people on the street.
What makes you a civilized community or society is the way you treat your poor people and your children and your old people. That's what you look to because we're also blessed. We should be able to, accommodate this within our society and allow that to be a part of who we are. We can't be afraid of poor people.
But fear is the medium of our whole society right now. It's the one element that everybody's kind of injecting into their whole lives.
Yeah. And it's infected, I think, our Bay Area community as well.
I got a question to ask you. Tides Thoreau Center series, Rights Wrong, Celebrating Human Rights in Action.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that is a program that they were running for a while where people would come in and present topics or projects that they were working on in conjunction with human rights. And so I've been working on this Nail House film for about 8 or 9 years now.
Oh, really?
It's been a
Nail
long time.
House. Where did that come from?
Nail House is actually a Chinese term, and it refers to somebody who refuses to give up their home or land to developers. And if you look online, you can find these very dramatic pictures of one home and like entire blocks dug out around them because they've refused to leave.
Yeah.
So it's about, you know, resisting. That's really what it means to be a nail house.
You know, Hong Kong, the Wan Chai district, the people were trying to hold out, but the government there was a demolitioning buildings, and the people were still in the building.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
They were demolishing
Mm-hmm.
the Wan Chai, and the Wan Chai was where the tailor shops were. They had all these family businesses that had been there over 200 years. You know, little ancillary businesses. You know, one of the things I liked about it was you were able to go and eat for $1.30 US, a full meal. You know, in these little street restaurants, and there was in little cubby holes. C.K. Yum was one of the biggest people that I met there. He died 25, 30 years ago. But he ended up coming here to San Francisco, and he owned the Taj Mahal tailorship. You know, Sammy Davis Jr., Bing Crosby, all these people, Taj Mahal, you know, the family on that. And then they were in there, and they had to move out the day before they knocked it down. You know, and I'm looking at gentrification, and you're talking about it, and to me, we're barbaric.
We
in
are.
that sense of being.
We are.
You know, we're barbaric because I almost got arrested about 2 months ago. I came that close, and the cop was not nice. You know, I was at an event over here, right here in the Mission District, and I had all this stuff in my car, this food in my car, and the guy was at a party, a house party, and the guy says, well, I'm going to throw all this in the trash. I said, but you just had a caterer. How much did this caterer cost? He said $3,000. And I said, well, put it in my truck. So we put it all in my truck, and it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's cold as all hell, you know. So I took it over to Oakland, and I was giving it, you know, to the homeless.
Which is illegal, right?
You know,
it's illegal to give food.
It's illegal to give food away. Yes, yeah, like which is I don't know if that's why you got in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
there
what
you
he
go.
said. He said, I'm going to arrest you.
Not allowed to do it.
He says, get on the ground.
Yep.
I said, hey man, I spent 20 years in the damn Navy. I'm not getting on no ground. I told him that. I said, I've done nothing wrong. I'm not getting on. He said, I told you to. I said, the hell. I said, take me to jail. He says, why are you giving me a hard time? I said, I'm going to give this food out and I'll get out of here. How about that? He said, you got 2 minutes. Did you imagine that?
When did they
Sounds
make
like
it
you got
against
lucky.
the law to give your food away?
Yeah, you know, I don't know when I don't know when the law happened, but it is illegal. You know, there was a group back in the 60s, and actually, I think they're still around. Food Not Moms.
Food Not Moms.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the diggers, and that's kind of what they would do, and they would hand out food to people and give away food. But yeah, technically, it is illegal to give somebody your leftover food. Yeah. Technically, you can be arrested for something like that, if you can imagine.
Imagine going to court, though. The judge is probably going to dismiss it.
Hopefully.
They just want to give you a
getting
hard
there, I don't want
time.
to get there. I don't like the system as it is.
Then you're jacking up the system with a frivolous
Exactly,
case
but
and
it's
suit.
like those officers, they just want to put you in jail.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you got lucky.
Yeah, my neighbor, there's a lady over the hill and down the hill a little bit going into Pinot. She's got this humongous backyard, and she grows plums and cherries and apples and everything, and she puts it all in the back of a pickup truck. She runs into these homeless caps, she bumps a horn, she puts all this fresh fruit, and it's all organically grown.
Hey, you know, your neighbor, she can beep the horn at my house.
Oh.
Yeah. I like fruits. I like fresh fruit.
Nothing like fruit you grow yourself.
Yeah, like
so
she can
butter.
Stop by my house before she goes where she
And
goes.
she beeps her horn, and she'll go into these places, and she'll beep her horn, and she'll drop and leave.
Oh, well, I don't have no problem. I give them $5 a month. You know, so.
$5 a month.
But
what is that?
It would be interesting if someone could devise a system where, for like a penny, you know, you could like get through that loophole somehow, right? To be able to distribute, you know, good, healthy food that people need, without, you know, it being some kind of like criminal activity.
I can say you're a hell of a humanitarian.
Well,
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna put that one on you too.
You can't criminalize people because they're poor.
you can't criminalize people for eating. Because that's really what it is. Like, I mean, that's just so.
You know, sit-lie, the whole sit-lie thing that was here in our city, right? We passed that. That people aren't allowed to sit or lie on sidewalks.
Yeah.
And, you know, enforcing. I mean, these are just they're shameful
And
policies.
you know what they're trying to do, but the truth is anybody could fall asleep. Like, because I remember, like, I think I was up for like a really long time, and you know, I just started falling asleep, and that was one time. But I realized after that, you know, you get in trouble for just happening to fall asleep. But the truth of the matter is, no matter who you are, you could be working all night and just happen to fall asleep at any time. And that shouldn't be against the law, because we get tired. We walk, we work, we do these things. And sometimes we didn't fall asleep at home.
Well, you guys, I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
I have a very good relationship. Me and the PD, police departments, especially the CHP, we don't get along. I have an attitude. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel that I paid my dues, and I feel that I've done things in life to put myself where I am. But there's one guy right here in the city, a policeman. His name is Dennis Cena. He's in the City Hall Plaza. And if you ever want to see somebody who puts on his priest uniform, his priest collar, he puts on his humanitarian collar, and he counsels people, he talks to people, you know, he sits there and he makes people feel good. He tells people when they're wrong. He's like a catalyst to everybody in there. Last year, there was this young girl that I saw her come on the streets 3-4 years ago, and he used to talk to her all the time about getting off the streets because she has some very affluent parents. And she died in a sleeping bag right there on the corner by Bill Graham. They found her dead from drugs. You know, she was talking about giving up all the time. You know, and when I hear of people that are real humanitarians in the city, and we were talking here not too long ago, he said, well, they don't think I do anything, but I watch this man go from person to person every day. Even people that do shooting up, what they call that stuff, when they're trying to come off of drugs, what do they call that stuff?
Methadone?
Methadone. You know, a lot of them are methadone people, you know, and one lady was sitting there crying, and he said, baby, it's going to be all right. That's all he said, baby, it's going to be all right. And he's actually a catalyst around the city, in that area, in the City Hall area. And you know what? I mentioned him once before, and he made me feel good. Yeah, this is the kind of person we're talking about.
You're listening to Thoughts of a Common Man with Charles Achiever. Radio, Valencia, the sounds of the mission.
Here we're back again. Okay, Soumyaa. And we have had quite a guest in her, and she is quite an open-hearted person. I've come to love that because, you know, right here at Radio Valencia, this is what we want to bring you. Radio Valencia, right here in the city on Mission Street, across the street from Pete's. all that good Pete's barbecue, all that good fried chicken and baked chicken is coming from. Where are you going? What you doing? And when are you going to wrap up this thing that you 8 or 9 years you've been looking at this?
Oh yeah, Nail House. Yeah. So so we're just finishing up some final work on sound and color, and then we're going to be looking to premiere it in festivals and.
Is this animated too?
Nope, this is a live action.
Oh, this is live action.
Yeah, no, we followed a few recyclers that used to recycle at the center, and the people involved in trying to keep it open, and the people who were fighting against it. You know, so it's a true sort of city hall battle that plays out for everyone to just get a bit of an inside look at how so-called progressive politics work in this city. do you know they had a projection, and they actually met the projection. There's 80,000 people a month went through the Haight-Ashbury, just walking through during the 60s and the 70s. 80,000 people. Tour buses, lined up in Golden Gate Park just to see the Haight-Ashbury. Yeah, it's an iconic place, and it represents a certain values, I think, that are being eroded. You know, the values of social services, of the free medical clinics, the recycling center. It wasn't just smoking pot on Hippie Hill that was going on then. It was really innovative ways of collaborating, working together, and trying to make the world more habitable.
Well, they had some very bright and intelligent people come through there. And here we go back again. We're talking about what people look like, how they're perceived, and what they're producing in life. Our perception of people, it sucks as far as I'm concerned in this country. I'm putting it out there like it is, dear. Like I said, when I first saw you, I said, oh, she's very rich, very affluent, very fluid. I thought that. That was the first. I didn't even know you.
I'm not rich. I'm not poor. I'm somewhere in between.
But you got that nice. You have developed into a hell of a human being. Is my point. Now here you say to me, oh, you came here living in your motorhome.
Yeah, I mean, I moved to California. In
like a lot of people did.
In my early 20s, and
yeah,
I didn't have a place to live, and we just figured it out. Didn't have a lot of money or support, and just kind of made things happen.